They were always essential in the sense that uh, when you're reading and there is a small gathering in front of you, you are no more under the illusion that you're writing for yourself. So that's the first thing that happens. Festivals are a part of a game capitalism plays with itself, and uh, they're on and off very enchanting and very inviting, and you get attracted to that because you get an airfare and free lunches and dinners, and you can show off, the new shirts you bought. But I'm not very clear if it is getting more and more cluttered and therefore slightly taking you away from yourself. So I imagine once in a while festivals are okay. One must learn to say no to some of them. And readings are a treasure because, as I just told you, that reminds you that you are, not merely writing for yourself, but for those rasikas, that one who acknowledges and is attentive to what you are doing. Okay. Plus, you also read and listen to other poets' voices because of the readings, and partly because of the festival, not entirely.
Do you conceive a poem, or does poetry happen to you, or your thoughts maybe, do they come to you?
Uh, you write poetry in order to have conversations with yourself. This is how I look at it. And when you are young and you want to have a conversation with your most loved cousin who doesn't give you any bhav, so you say, God, I'm going to talk to you anyway, though you're not listening and you're not around. And somewhere there, poetry begins for me. We use the name love poems for them, but for me, it's a conversation with oneself. So, because I'm not a very gifted craft person, there are those who have a tremendous gift of versifying, and that's a gift I admire, but I don't have it. But because of my passion for music, and I think a deep lagav for it, I'm deeply in love with what musicians do, and particularly when they improvise. So for me, writing a poem is a way of improvising my own system, my own feelings, and I improvise them. So wo ghoot ghoot kar, I go into my body and its rhythms, and I say the line, and as if I'm now going to perform the line, and then the line gets repeated and takes different notes. So it's an improvisation. So what you improvise is spontaneous generally, and you improvise it more if there is somebody there who is responding to your improvisation even more fiercely, just as a singer sings much better when there is somebody on the front who's saying wah wah. So often I have to say wah wah to myself.
How? So you have been in the city, like part of you, and Chair Poetry Evening Festival, they chose, this city. Do you think there is some kind of a connection, or how do you feel about that choice?
Well, I have to admit that when I got invited, I told them, there are so many good Gujarati poets whom you can invite. Don't have to invite me. I'm not writing much. But on the other hand, secretly, I was delighted. I tell you why. Rabindranath has been my obsession for more than 4 or 5 decades. And I'm coming to know him more and more, read him more and more, think about him more and more, and go to him again and again for my own clarity, my own joys and sorrows. So I said, Thakur Bari mein sala wo manch par jaake main padunga. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to tell the whole world, look, I'm going to Thakur Bari, Rabindra Mancho, and my wife and my in-laws and my sasural should be delighted that they have a Jamai who reads in Thakur Bari, and they are all Bengalis, middle class, bourgeois. So they must be sitting and saying, Prabodh Kamal ka nikla apna Jamai to. So that was a reason for me to come to Calcutta, apart from the rolls and shingaras. That is another story.
Do you have any message for the festival,
No,
the
no.
organizers?
God. I mean, messages are given only by Sadgurus and Baba Ramdevs. No, no messages. Just continue to talk to yourself. And there is something that Osip Mandelstam, my favorite Russian poet, says. When he was barely 22, he wrote this, and it gives me a great kick to think of it again and again. He says that I have a homesickness for world culture. Now, generally, homesickness we have because we are sick. We are homesick. Ma ka khana, ghar ka khana kind of thing. If you lived in hostel or lived away for studies abroad, then you long to have that, luchi, aloo dum and all that. Of course, fish fry is first choice of Bengalis. But that's homesickness of one kind. The other homesickness is biblical, very deeply Christian idea that we are separated from thou art in heaven, Father. In this case, Mandelstam is saying something worth listening to again and again. He's saying, I have a homesickness for world culture, which means, oh, how glad I would be before I die to learn how to live in every corner of the world and feel at home. Not a realizable dream, but a good dream to wake up with. That's my message for myself.